everybody.
Hey, everybody.
How's it going? Welcome to the Mortgage Mike Speaks podcast.
Yet another edition.
Yeah, we'll introduce everybody just in case this is someone's first time.
I'm Mortgage Mike.
I am Steven Salinas.
And
we're the Mortgage Mike Group.
Mortgage Mike Group.
Yep,
Right.
and we've got a special guest for us today. We've got Dwayne Pano.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dwayne Pano. Honored and happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
No problem.
Yeah, I was talking, Mike and I were talking, and we think your story is really cool.
Yes.
It's unique. I mean, a lot of people kind of jump into real estate from like sales. A lot of people come into it from,
Oil and gas.
Oil and gas. Yeah. Honestly,
yeah.
oil and gas is
Right.
Yeah.
It's huge.
But you've got a really cool, unique story. We love to hear, where you're at now, where you've been, and where you
Where
going.
you're going.
Yeah, man. So I've been in real estate for 2 years.
Cool.
Had no clue what I was getting myself into. Spent 18 years in urban camp ministry. Lived in Branson, Missouri for a large part of that time, working for Kids Across America.
Yeah.
KA, for those who are watching.
Yeah.
And spent 12 years there, right? Spent 12 years there working in urban camp ministry, starting when I was in college. And then when I got married, my wife says, I don't want to raise our kids in camp ministry. And she randomly said that I don't want to live in Houston. I had got a job offer. Yeah, randomly.
Okay.
I had got a job offer as a youth pastor, and she was like, I don't want to live in Houston. But Lord saw fit to have us do both here in the same
Keep that in the middle.
Yeah. Well, we moved to Houston, and I ran urban camp ministry.
Yeah.
And so that I pretty much, like I said, spent 18 years doing that.
Got it.
That's how we ended up here in Houston, another camp called Stony Creek, the Creek, for those who are watching. That's how we ended up here in Houston. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And I was left with some tough choices, honestly.
For sure.
Camp was good. Don't get me wrong. I love what I did. And I love building the relationship I had with my staff.
Yeah.
But 6 months prior to that, I had this feeling that my time at camp would be over.
Okay.
And you just start praying about it, right? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Sure.
Where am I going to go? We're on lockdown. So that first week of lockdown, I just binge watch TV and play video games because that's what everybody did.
Oh, I think I got a Switch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
nobody knew what they were going to do, and so it's like, all right.
Darn.
And then my pastor called and said, "Hey, what do you feel like God's laying on your heart?" And I just mentioned randomly real estate and said, "Hey, I have a friend who helps people transition from ministry into real estate."
Whoa.
Wow.
And I was like,
I didn't even know that's a thing.
It was. I didn't either. So I gave him a call.
Yeah.
I talked to his broker, and the broker said, Anderson Moley, talked to him, and he was just like, "Look, everything that you know how to do in the camp world translates over to real estate. You just don't know it."
Yeah.
And so from there, it was like a switch. After that first week of just binge watching TV, I just locked in. Still did my work for camp, but locked in to get my real estate license and treated it like I had 2 full-time jobs. And we had just had our third kid. So my wife, not only did we have our third kid, but my wife had carpal tunnel surgery on both hands.
Oh, no.
And she held down the house while I studied pretty much from 8 a.m. to midnight while still doing my work for camp and getting stuff ready.
Yeah.
Cool. So 2 years in the industry, you've gone through some transitions in that time too. But I think it's really cool because like you have this confidence and you carry that into what you do. And tell us about like what were the early kind of stages like, and and making the transition to where you're at.
That first couple months was rough. Like, I'll be honest, I was
bet.
like, Lord, did you lead us out of Egypt to
This
die?
can't be it. Yeah, exactly.
Right? And so it was like, man, for real, like we were at the point that we were borrowing money to pay bills. I remember that Thanksgiving sitting there and being like, man, this is not what I envisioned for myself.
Yeah.
Because jumping into a world that you don't know, you don't really know the ins and outs of it, right? You're learning. But I just had to be consistent in the work I was doing, knowing that it would be payoff, right?
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym. Nobody goes to the gym for the very first time and works out and expects to be a bodybuilder on their first go around at the gym. Like, no, there's some consistency that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So I resigned in July. So from July to March, I sold 3 homes.
Wow.
And that was it.
Wow.
Had a nice little nest egg saved up, but we ran through that quick, especially with the third kid and paying bills. And so we were struggling, right? And then I don't know what happened, but a switch like flipped once March 2021 came. And I ended the year selling 19 homes in that time frame. And so this week, well, next week actually, it will be my 40th home sold in in a little over 2 years. And so it's just been steady going up. There's been obviously some rough moments from here and there. It is what it is. It's business.
Especially in our business.
But all those things definitely has made me who I am. And you take that with what I learned in camp ministry. One of the terms we use, like, we just got to flex. If the weather isn't saying that we can't do this today, then you quickly adjust to whatever you can do and you make it happen. And so that's just kind of how I've learned to operate in life. And how I learned to operate in this business.
One of those camp. That's one of those camp things that you just kind of learn to just roll with the punches, right?
Absolutely.
You talked about consistency. What are some of what's that consistency look like? Like, because I feel like you have a rhythm in regards to how you're reaching out, intentionally engaging in relationship. Like, what does that consistency look like?
Yeah. So the brokerage I was at, I just switched brokers not too long ago. And it was great. I felt like, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that later, but like, I just felt like I was missing something when I was there. But one of the things they talked about that they really drilled into us was building your sphere of influence, but we call it your U100. So you would have this list of people that and you would just make phone calls. Hey, what do you got on your to-do list that I can help you out with today? Because serving is really the heart of real estate, right? Everybody
serving and giving.
So everybody thinks it's hey, what can you give me referrals? That's a part of it, of the call. But it's, hey, what do you got to do? Like, what do you have on your to-do list? Even if it's nothing, if it's, hey, I got some prayer requests, then cool, let me pray for you. Whatever the case may be, like, how can I serve you? Right. Nobody's calling each other just to say, hey, what are your needs? How can I bless you today? Right. That's a rare thing that's happening in these businesses. So
it is rare.
So it became a thing, and it was a little awkward at first, right? You're stuttering on the phone and people are like, I haven't talked to you in a while. Why are you calling me? But one of the things I did was, man, I just made a video. And hey, this is my kingdom purpose of jumping into real estate. I really feel called to, like, I'm supposed to hear somebody else's story and be able to bless them. And make a quick decision, like, is this kingdom minded? Am I supposed to fund this thing? So that's just kind of what I do, right? I make phone calls. I send a letter out once a month. Was consistently running open houses, send a video, host an event, and just love on people through the home buying process, even when it gets hard, right? And not to have commission breath, right? Because I think that's what happens. I'm helping you so you can bless me, but at the end of the day, I've just learned, like, even if I got to give back, right? There's been clients where I'm giving a part of my commission back to them to help with their closing costs. And it's unexpected for them, but this is my way to give it to help you. And I'm a firm believer that the Lord's going to bring that back. In some form or another, right?
Amen.
And you had some close calls, right? You had some big deals that were supposed to go down and they didn't go down in your favor. And it is what it is. You learn to roll with the punches. People buy without you. People sell without you. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. Maybe you just weren't good enough for them at that point in time in life. And so
I like what you said. So I'll touch on this. Like, having a conversation with people and asking yourself, is this kingdom minded? Do I want to help these people? Do I want to fund this? Let's dig into that, because that's for some people, that's an unheard of thought. Because they're thinking, why wouldn't I take everything that I can get? Like, why wouldn't I just, bring every deal in? But you're honestly, like, you do have to make the decision, because if you're caring for them, you realize, like, you don't want to compromise your integrity at the same time. What does that look like? Give us an example of that.
So I think that mindset shifted for me. Like I said, my previous broker challenged me one day because I was really wrestling with being in a higher price point. So when I say higher price points, like in 500 and above. And he was like, well, when you have a poverty mindset, and first off, like, your pride tells you, first of all, who are you to tell me that I have a poverty mindset? Like, I grew up in poverty. Like, you don't know anything about my story. But then he recommended this book called Poverty, Riches, and Wealth by Chris Boughton, which begins to speak through the poverty mindset of, a lot of that is rooted in unforgiveness, right? And you start to think through, like, man, the way I handle my finances is really rooted in a scarce mindset. Like, if I'm a child of the king, then all of heaven's at my disposal.
Right.
So I need to operate that way. So when it comes to, like, listening to people's stories, and not necessarily just from a real estate standpoint, of just being tuned in and being like, all right, am I supposed to help this person do this?
Yeah.
Because you know how it is. Like, people see that you're successful, and then you get asked random questions all the time. And I don't want to enable anybody, but I want to make sure that I'm making a kingdom investment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it boils down to, is making kingdom investments. And so knowing that what I'm given to is going to be impacted by the kingdom, or have a kingdom impact. And so that's kind of how that looks like. And so here recently, there's a client. I know what they're trying to do. I know why they're moving. And so it was like, hey, I'm giving this portion back to you. Blown away, and like, well, why would you do that? Because I know how much you've worked hard for your family to have a home, and I know the things that you're going to do in your home are kingdom minded. So I don't have an issue doing this for you.
Yeah,
that's good, man.
And so
that's so good.
It's encouraging. I mean, I think Mike and I, we have a similar kind of thought process, and you do realize how rare it is. Like, whenever you do have that conversation with someone, you do ask, like, we even said it earlier today, like, we don't want to just be for profit. You know, we want to be, you know, like, for the kingdom. And I think that's one thing too, like, when you have that mindset, okay, I want to serve, I want to, like, take care of this family, you kind of have to just be blind to all the benefits, and just look at the person and say, like, how can I help you?
Absolutely. And I think even like not being for profit, like, I know how I grew up. Like, I know why I jumped into real estate, is to give my family a better life than I had growing up. And I feel like the Lord will honor that if I do what I'm called to do in the midst of all that, and recognizing that it's not just about give me, but like, how can I help people? What do you need? And things like that.
That's awesome, man.
Well, I think you get what we're finding in the idea of, like, it's the give, not the get. That's the one thing we keep coming back to. It's when we're building relationships with people, how can we serve and give to them, and not like the veiled, hey, what do you got a deal for me? Or you looking to buy or sell, like all of those things. But the idea of, like, hey, how things are going, and you know, how can we come alongside you and just you know, pray for you? Like, what are you struggling with right now? What's going on in life where you're not, you know, you're not quite sure what to do? Who can come alongside and just give some, and at least align with you, and just pray into that space and allow the Lord to reveal what it is that he's trying to work through you on, right? And just holding them up. It's like, I don't have the answer, but I know how to pray.
And buying a home is like the number 3 stressor, right? Everybody knows that. And so if I can relieve stress by being kind and gentle and listen to you well, and understanding, like, the Lord's had some very cool moments in the midst of that. We're dealing with clients, and like some stuff would come up and they break out into tears, and you're like, hey, let's talk into this, because you want to jump off the ledge right now. Let's just sit here and just throw rocks in the lake. Like, let's just talk about what's going on, and allowing me to speak into whatever that thing is. And then going from there. And so it's been a lot of cool moments with that thing as well.
I love it. So that goes into kind of your give back. I mean, you have a heart for giving back to your team too. I know that you just recently launched.
Absolutely.
Your team, right?
Today. Well, we've been functioning for a while. But today is like, hey, we're here. And so it'll be on track and all of that. But yes, I just felt this calling to start a team. Like, I remember the moment I was studying for my license, and you start to learn about the different nuances of real estate. And my heart was like, well, why would I just stop here? Why not go all the way the distance with this thing? Getting your broker's license and building stuff, and feel like I'm supposed to build this international business. And so I don't really know what that looks like, but we're going to start small here and build with the people that I'm with. And so right now, currently, I have four team members under me. And so my goal is to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful, all while doing my work as well, and making sure that I'm being successful in my business as well. And so I can't teach and train if I'm not doing the work.
Oh, wow. I know that. Man.
Yeah.
That's such a great reinforcer.
Yeah.
Right? It's, it exposes the places where you need to shore up what it is that you say you do. It's like, I probably need to do that. Or what's the name of your team? What do you?
Deep Pano Realty Group.
Deep Pano Realty Group.
Yeah.
We like the group idea too.
Yeah.
So
like that. The group thing is That's just what everybody's doing it, right? There's tons of different groups, and I'm at the point, I have a real estate coach, and when I'm talking with my coach, like, you start to talk with other people and like, hey, you should join our team. And that's flattering, but I'm like, I really feel called to build something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's just kind of what it is. Like, I feel like the Lord has called me to build and to plant and uproot and to tear down whatever he calls me to. And so
that's awesome. When you're putting your group together, what are some of like I'm sure you put thought into this. What are some of like your core values or core like character pieces that you're looking for when you're putting this group together?
Absolutely. I think one of the main thing is like, do you have a work ethic and are you teachable, right? Like, those are my two main things. Like, can you take correction? Like, and can you execute on what we talked about? That's really the main thing, is like, when we have a conversation, me being able to look under the hood and see like, oh no, we just got to put this here and this there and you're fine. To be able to take positive criticism, right? Because we live in a world where nobody wants to be criticized for whatever reason. Nobody wants to be corrected. But in that, it's, hey, can you take this and execute it? Because that's really the only way it works. It's about execution. It's about taking the feedback and being coachable. There's not a single thing in this world that doesn't have a coach who's been there longer than what you've been there. When football starts officially today, and these guys have put in tons of practice time, and now they get to execute what they've been taught and the plays that they've gone over. But it's impossible to do that if you're not coachable.
Right.
And so,
and humility, I think it's just that ability to submit to authority in a way and be teachable, and then and then execute. It's like, just do. Like, it works. This works. Trust the process. And just go. You know,
because there's always going to be somebody who doesn't necessarily want to do the process, and that's fine with me.
Probably not going to do it with
and
me.
Then so there's been conversations like, hey, I should be where you are. I should do this. And I'm like, no, you haven't put the work in. You haven't done what I've done consistently for 2 years to make this work. And all that, like 40 homes is a big deal, but I also know I can be better, right? I've spent time last week at Tom Ferry's Summit Conference, and you got to see people who their teams sell like 700 homes a year. Now, comparison is a thief of joy. So when I'm comparing to myself, it's not a matter of like, man, why can I not? My question is, why aren't you?
Right.
Like, why aren't you there yet? And then what steps are you going to take to get to where you feel like you could be? And so it's like, I always use that as, I hear somebody else's story and then use it as motivation for myself, and not to make them an enemy, because like, I'm only competing with myself.
That's true.
There's enough for everybody to have some in this world.
And it's an opportunity too. I think it's like, if you do have the team that does things the right way, you're making the impact. You know, your impact and your give back is even greater.
It's multiplied.
And I think doing it together is just
so much better,
and being unified, and it's just better. I think that's one thing. I think, and personally, I know we've all struggled with this, is like, my way is better, or I want to just take control over certain things, but really submitting to one another, helping each other out. It goes a long way, and you're stronger. I think that's one thing too.
And it goes back to the humility thing that you said, Mike. Like, I have to be humble enough to be like, hey, I need help in this area. So what do? You hire a coach that somebody's going to coach you the way that you need to be coached. That's going to help drive you to where you need to drive in that. And so you get in this business what you put into it, right?
You do.
And so those who said that this doesn't work, they're not working.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to. So like, if it doesn't work, that means you're not working.
Well, I think that could be such a mindset in the market today. Because we talk to a lot of people. I mean, whether or not they're loan officers or real estate agents, and I mean, you could look at this moment in time and say, well, man, interest rates are up, the market's off, there's no business, right? I've slowed down. Like, we can wrap excuses around why
fear, doubt,
confusion. We can, all these things to hide it. And the truth is, you're not doing the work. Right. Because if you're doing the work and building the relationships and being intentionally committed to giving, you will, God will provide for that.
Yeah.
Right. God's like, hey, yeah, come alongside of my sheep and pray for them. And take care of them and love on them. And you do that, paycheck's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see it all the time throughout scripture, right? Like you look at when Moses sent the 12 men into the land of Canaan to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Only 2 came back with the mindset like, no, God said this is ours, so it's ours.
Right.
Everybody says, well, the giants are too big. And that's what happens in real estate. Oh my gosh, the market's crazy.
These giants,
I don't know what I'm going to do. And my mind says like, I don't really listen to the noise. Like I don't get caught up in the political stuff. I don't get caught up on all the other stuff that's happening. Like I'm aware, but I cannot let that be the thing that keeps me from doing what I need to do. Because if that becomes my distraction, then my family suffers and the people that God has called me to love on miss out because I got distracted.
Amen.
Yeah. So and you can, and they're kind of those giants, right? I mean, it's those giants of, you know, what's going on in the market or the giants of recession or supply or all these different giants, but it's even more of an opportunity to show just the Lord is working.
Absolutely. And it's the market is starting to shift back the other way. It's not quite the you put your home on the market and you instantly take it back off because you got to offer like 20 of them. Right. Like homes are sitting a little bit long, but if you do the work the right way, your home doesn't have to sit long if you price it right.
Exactly.
But this is the time where people are starting to get separated.
Right.
You'll find out those who got their real estate license because it was a cool thing to do versus those who like, hey, this is what I have to do because my family needs to eat.
Right on.
And so,
I think just what's important is just the partnerships that you have, like the partnerships within your team, the partnerships with the other people that are helping your clients, whether that being insurance or lenders or, you know, title, all these different partnerships.
It all
goes together.
It all works because the partnerships that you keep can make or break your business, right? Like I've lost out on deals because of horrible partnerships. And even though I did everything right, but because I am the gatekeeper for these partnerships, then my business suffers for it. And that's a valuable lesson. So you learn to put the right people around you so that you can be successful. You can't have anybody around you who's not going to help drive your success.
You've got to trust them. You've got to be able to like shoot it straight with them too. I mean, transparency is huge for us. And it's also you also want to have people that also consider your client their client. I think it's like if they also have a desire to be patient and bring peace to a transaction, all these different things that you care about, if your partners aren't doing those things too, then it almost, they kind of look back to you and they almost say, I thought you cared about these things, right? And your partners don't, you know, and that's important, man. That's important, and an encouragement to you. You're doing the right things. I think you're putting in the work, and your character has created the success.
Well, I appreciate that. It's I mean, it takes a while to get there, right? Like it's not an overnight thing. It's not something that you wake up today and you're like, oh, I got to be successful. Like you have to go through the grind. There would be some hard moments. There were moments where I was like, man, I don't even know if I'm cut out for this. And that was early on. Like I got fired by my first client. Right.
They're like,
and it is what it is. Like I didn't have the experience. I didn't know what I was doing, and it's fine. But that moment molded me. And you like I said, you lose out on some deals because of lack of experience. And it is what it is. You don't hold grudges, right? Early on, that was what I did. Like highly upset that you didn't use it, but now it's like it's no big deal. Like, how can I bless you? When's your housewarming party? I'll be there. I'll bring you a bottle of wine, whatever you need to do. Right? I'll be there with the gift.
Right on.
I love it, man. That's really cool. Well, we're excited for your team.
Yeah, man.
You know, I think for the people that are listening, you know, follow D Pano. Group.
You can follow me on Instagram, Dwayne Pano. And I'll direct you to the other business.
Guy likes coffee a lot, by the way.
Also, your other account too. What's your other account called?
Coffee Making Brothers.
Coffee
I have
Making
3
Brothers.
Instagrams and all that.
Hey, that's it.
One is just my family and business. One is just strictly business, and one is just strictly coffee.
Strictly coffee.
And so, like, when people are like, "Hey, man, I love coffee," I'm like, I start to quiz them. How do you make your coffee in the morning?
Yeah, do you really love coffee?
Like, if I hear, "Oh, I just put it in the carrot because it's quick," then no, you don't love coffee.
That's not really coffee.
It's not.
Yeah,
and
you like coffee.
It is what it is.
But...
Like, and so
That's funny, man.
So yeah, we had those conversations, but yeah, no, like
cool.
Life is great.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for coming.
Yeah,
no problem.
Thank you so much, man. We love having you on here.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Good luck with your team and everything that's going on with that. I know the Lord's gonna, the Lord bless you and keep you, right? Yeah, you can find, like I said, you can find me all over social media. One of the biggest things I'm learning right now is just being the digital mayor of where I'm at. And so you see me post a video. I've been challenged for the next 365 days to post a reel a day. I love it. I love
so
it, man.
Creativity is coming.
There you go. I love it. That's awesome. Guys, reach out to Dwayne.
Thank you so much.
Comment below, like it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.